Welcome to Code Jogging. In our previous video, we looked at how to use card components in our project. That's our Compose UI project. And we talked about some of the properties that we can use in card components. In this video, we are going to look at how we can use card component to design a UI component. And our UI component, we are looking at the UI component must have these details. That's an image, and then username, last seen, or description. Now let's make it last seen and subscribe button or follow on top of the image. Okay, so these are the features we are going to have in our card component. So we are going to work on samples here. I believe you've watched the previous video before watching this video. If not, kindly go back and then watch the previous video, because we've explained how we were able to use card in our project. So here we are now going to look at how we are going to import card in our project, but we are now going to use to create a sample UI which will have the element we've listed on top of our card component. So without wasting much time, let's get started. So we are now going to use all the properties here. We have to remove some. So what we are going to do is, we don't need the background color, we don't need the border, we want to use the default shape. So now what we are going to do is, we are going to increase the height to 500 dp. So now let's run our app and then see the new UI we are going to work on. Okay, so now this is how our card view looks like, because we've maintained the elevation. That's the reason why we can see shadows here. So the first step is to add the image to our card component. And as we discussed in our previous video, we said card component and then box component have something similar, but they have similar properties. One is they allow their elements to be stuck on each other. That means if you have two components in either card component or box component, the last one will be on top of the first one. So if you are going to add an image to our card component, then we have to ask ourselves, are we going to allow the rest of the components we are going to add to the card component be on top of the image component? And the answer is yes, because in this tutorial we said that we want the username, last seen, and then subscribe or follow button to be on top of the image. So since we want the username, last seen, and then follow or subscribe button to be on top of the image, then we have to first call the image. So now we are going to call our image view, then we call our painter resources, then we call the path, that's the drawable, and then we add the heading, then the description will be heading. Okay, so let's break our code for easy reading. Okay, so now we are going to add content scale. Okay. Okay, before we will add the content skill, we've talked about the image components in one of our previous videos. So in case I'm adding some properties here that you are not familiar with, you can check our image component tutorial and then understand how we can import or add an image to our project. So let's add crop. Okay, so now let's remove this and then run our code. Yes, so now we've added our image to the card view. So the next step is to make the username, last seen, and then subscribe or follow button to be on top of the image. So the next step is to call a layout group component, that's column, and then we give it max, fill max width. Okay, so we are going to add two layout group components, that's row, and then we are going to add max width. Okay, so here we are going to set it horizontal align or arrangement to space between. Yes, we want the name, that's Hadi. Okay, and then we want the button. Okay, so we want the button to be at the end, so let's use follow, or let's use subscribe. Okay, so now let's work on the button a little bit. So let's put the cursor on it, then we'll have colors here. So colors equals button default colors, then have button colors, then we can call container color. So subscribe must have a red background color so that we can change the text. We can change the text color to white. Okay, so for us to know that we are working on the right thing, let's run our code to view the UI we've done so far. Okay, so here nothing is showing. Yes, so now is the image. Okay, so let's add vertical arrangements, and then we have to move everything to button. So let's run this code. Okay, so let me debug this code and see what we've been missing. Yes, okay. Okay, so let's add box. Let's surround our data with box to arrange the UI, and let's run again. Yes, so it means that we have to make the column size fill the container so that we can move the name and the subscription to the button. So let's add padding to it. So horizontal will have 5 dp, and then vertical will have 15 dp. Okay, so now let's run our code again. Yes, so let's add our last scene to it. So modify, okay, and then let's call our test last scene. Let's use, let's say 2 days ago. Okay, so now let's run our code. Yes. Okay, so now let me explain something here. You can see that we are finding difficult to read the text, though we can change the text color to white. That's text color to white, and then here text color to white. Let's run our code. Okay, we are still finding difficult to read the text. So what if the picture that we are going to use has a white background, and the person who took the picture was wearing white? It means that we can't read white on white, so we have to add an overlay to our image so that the text will be on top of the overlay, and it doesn't matter the color of the picture background or the color content in the picture. Our text will still be visible to our users. So for us to do that, then we have to add a box with no callback. So where did we call image? Yes, so let's call a box, then we add a modifier file size. Okay, so we didn't see anything. So the next step is we are going to design our overlay. It means that we are going to add a color, that's a background color, to our box layout here. So let's give it color black. So let's run our code. Yes, so we want our text to be visible, but the image is not showing. We want to show both the text and then the overlay and the image. So we can achieve that by using a gradient. So for us to use a gradient, then you have to use a brush, then use the gradient, that's a vertical gradient. So we want the down to be dark and then the top should be transparent. Then we specify the colors. So the first color should be the transparent, that's the top, and then the second color should be black. Okay, so what we are trying to say is, when we run our code, we are supposed to see that the overlay has two colors. That the first one will be the transparent, and then the button will be the black color. And though it will be a black color, but we can still see through. So let's run our code, and then let's see. Yes, so now we can then read our text and then also click on the subscribe button. Okay, so let's modify our text a little bit. So what we are going to do, instead of having a new row here, okay, we can also have a column here, and then we can have both the name, both the username and the last name, because you can see that there's a huge space between the name and then the last name. Then we will change the style of the last name to typography. We will change it to typography. Let's give it label medium or label large. Okay, then we have to add this typography, the same typography. Then we give this one header, and then we want the font weight to be black. Okay, so now let's run our code again. Yes, so now we can then see that the text color or the text has become visible in our UI. So let's change it to large. Let's run it again and then see the output. Okay, yes, so now this is how we can use card view to design our UI components. So we can add a lot of features to it. We can add comments button. We can add we can also add, let's add something here, subscribe. Then we can also add comments, then save. We are going to add like, comments, and then save. So we are going to have width, and then we are going to have the horizontal arrangement. It should rather be rounded. Okay, so this is what we are going to do. We are going to declare or create a variable that will hold okay, so for us to create a variable that will contain the reactions, whether the person is going to like or comment or save the post, we are going to create a composable function that will hold that. So let's call the function, let's say reactions. Okay, so let's create the function here, composable function reactions. There we can call this. So now we can now create our variable reactions item. Okay, so we are going to create list of, so we are going to use pair, and we've explained how to use pair in our previous videos. So the first one will be the icon, fill or outline dot, okay, there's no love. Then let's add favorites. Okay, 2, then like, then we have icons dot outline dot comments, 2 comments, and then we have icons dot outline dot save, 2, let's use bookmark. Okay, then this one will become save. Okay, so now for us to call our reaction, we are going to use for each index like how we did in our previous videos. So here will be the item, then we are going to call the UI that we are going to use. So we are going to call icon we're going to call icon image vector, that's data.first, and then content description will be now. Then the color of the icon will become white. Okay, so we are going to add the text. So the text becomes item dot second, color becomes white, and then style also becomes typography dot. Let's make it large. We can update it when we view it in the app or on the phone. So let's run it. Yes. So now this is what we have. Okay, so we are going to add some things to it. So this one will have vertical aligned center. Okay, because we've realized that the test, the reactions test are not centered, so we can also add modifier to this, and then add our modifier, then add padding, then we can add stats. Let's make it 5 dB. Okay, yes, so we can then have a space, that's vertical space, or top. Let's make it top so that we can see that the reactions are close to the last scene. So let's make the top 10 dB. Let's run our code. Here we go. So now we've been able to design our social media post with the help of card component. So from here, I believe we are gradually implementing Compose UI features in our app, and I believe you can add a lot of features to it, whether when a person clicks on it, you want to open the image, and when the person clicks on the subscribe, you can make it toggle. Okay, so here, as the project becomes big, it's advisable to use composable functions to create separate UI components for your whole UI design. Okay, so we will end our video here. In case you have any question, you can leave it at the comment section, and you have suggestions that we can use to run our channel to make it safe for beginners in computer programming. You're always welcome. You can send us a message through the channel email, and we'll respond to it as soon as we receive it. Thanks for watching this video. See you in our next video. Bye bye.